Hey guys, Steve here. Today we're going to be taking a look at the Kamikaze, heading into ranked here. You can see I have my Tanaka build on the screen. Note it's not a max concealment build. This is kind of my general Japanese destroyer build that I currently use. Once I get Hellsinger up to snuff a little bit, I'm going to do a couple different builds and kind of really dial them in. But that one's a good torpedo focused build, but it doesn't maximize the concealment. I do want to point that out because it will affect the perception a little bit. But heading into this ranked match, or this ranked season, I think a lot of people are still probably ranking the Kamikaze as the strongest destroyer at the tier. And it's a very strong ship, don't get me wrong. My reservations about it are what role it performs in domination mode games. But here we do have a domination mode game, and you can see it certainly has potential to run extremely well in these situations. I just think once you get up the ladder a little bit, you're playing against better players. Good destroyer commanders playing Farragut, especially with Twist and Track using Halsey, should be able to hunt these things down. But as you saw in my stream yesterday, if you watched the stream, I ran into a viewer of mine. His concealment on this thing was like 4.3, he told me later. Mine's 4.8 kilometers, the surface concealment. So that's extremely low. And I was trying to chase him down in my Farragut. He actually got away, and even though I had Twist and Track, because I was being pursued with other ships, he was able to get away and actually win the fight. So, I mean, if you're getting that low in terms of concealment, low fours, that's about a full kilometer's worth of an advantage from really what you should reasonably be expecting to see. Now again, at ranked, you're going to have some higher level builds, especially for a tier 4 match, than you might normally see, but regardless, the potential, my point is the potential for extreme concealment is very ripe with this ship. Now you see we got the first salvo up on this Queen Elizabeth here, and very quick reloading torps, very hard hitting. Pop them 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, however many times it is. You know, he'll go ahead and flood out, and then we'll just go ahead and call that a he gone moment right there. Devastating strike finally comes through. He gone! So, I mean, that's always been the potential of the ship. I mean, you can devastating strike a battleship in any destroyer, I get it. But it's fairly easy to do with the Kamikaze. High velocity torps, you know, high speed, high velocity in terms of output, in terms of torps, and, you know, pretty good range, combined with excellent concealment. This thing is one of the best, if not the best, torpedo threats in the game, at least out of the ships that we have right now. Where does that fit in at ranked, though? Ranked is guaranteed domination mode games. It's as you progress, you're going to be playing better and better players as a rule. The better players playing more gunboaty type destroyers should have an advantage in this 1v1 fight. So Kamikaze, you're going to be wanting to scout, and you can get close to caps that are being contested by other destroyers. Use that excellent concealment to outspot those destroyers. Hold your fire, potentially launch your torps or whatever, but get your supporting teammates in on the action. Keep those destroyers lit on their screen. Your teammates, if they're not completely worthless, which is, you know, often the case, but you know, they'll support you with fire. They'll kill those destroyers. So if played carefully and with you know, scouting and concealment in mind, I think the Kamikaze definitely has a place in this season, and it might very well end up being the strongest destroyer. We'll find out. You know, the disadvantages for this ship, though, pretty clear-cut. Once you have to get the guns involved, that's when you're starting to have issues. Firing those guns, you're going to extend your detectability to your full firing range, and of course, for 20 seconds, then you're going to have a hard time disengaging. You can't outgun anything except for the Mutsuki, the other Japanese destroyer at this tier, which has less guns. They shoot a little bit faster, but, you know, in terms of damage, in terms of everything, they're pretty similar. Kamikaze 4 guns, Mutsuki 2, both sets of guns, you know, worthless. I often say for Japanese destroyers, people don't shoot the guns often enough. But for these two particular destroyers, you're going to want to use them as sparingly as possible. And again, once you get into those close quarter fights with the destroyers, if you don't have a lot of support, you'll see I'm shooting here on the screen here. This is another Kamikaze though, and obviously we're in the process of slaughtering this team, so you got to use these guns situationally. He's trying to disengage. Once that smoke's up, hopefully I'll drop spot, or I'll be in a position to use my own smoke if I need to disengage. But again, if you've been paying attention to this match, we're primarily using the Torps. We'll use those guns sparingly and selectively. I think if you are going to run the Kamikaze in this rank, you need to really kind of be disciplined and not try and punch through the back lines and just torp battleships the entire time. Focus on spotting, focus on counter spotting those destroyers. Again, if you can light those destroyers up for your teammates, get your teammates to kill them while you remain undetected. That's going to be really nice. And then if you can remove those enemy destroyers, then you can go to town on the enemy team, especially if you're managed to pull some of these cruisers off. That's extremely tough to deal with here. Here you'll see I'm actually smoking up a teammate on this game. He was wounded, and this is a nice play. You just gotta... I don't often smoke up my teammates in random battles, but I took pity on this soul here. But playing against the Kamikazes, you're definitely going to be in situations where that's the case, because it's a fairly common ship, even though it really shouldn't be. It's been recently sold as part of the physical copy of the game, the one that comes with the disc. So a lot of people got it from there. They've sold it a couple times previous to that. Wouldn't surprise me if they sell this ship again in the future. They tend to really like this one. I think they get good sales on it. And it is a pretty strong ship, no doubt about it. But when you're playing against it, if you're in other destroyers and you get it to pop up on your screen, focus it, shoot your guns, shoot your guns, shoot your guns. I don't want to see you trying to torp this thing. I'm getting riled up just imagining it. Stop trying to torp these destroyers. This ship, you can kick the crap out of it if you're in any other destroyer except for another Kamikaze or a Mutsuki. Alright, shoot your goddamn guns, kill the thing, remove it, because what it's going to try and do once it's spotted, it'll probably launch torps, it'll probably run away, and if you let it slink off and get undetected again, you might never see it again except for right while it's creeping up and slitting your throat. This thing, when it's spotted, when it's removed, for ranked for sure, even random games, this ship is on the must-kill list. It's on my must-kill list. If it's not on your must-kill list, you don't really understand what you're dealing with, or I guess you don't respect the ship as much as I do. That's certainly possible. But Kamikazes left alive are going to be an issue for you. They're going to be an issue for your team. Cruisers, I think, are going to be very important on Tier 4. We've talked about it in the cruiser videos. Talked about it in the other ranked preview videos for the season. Talked about it on the stream yesterday. Cruisers with sonar, which I believe are pretty much all of them, unless I'm thinking incorrectly. I think most, if not all, the cruisers at Tier 4 have sonar, and they're going to be a good counter to this ship. The ship is going to be inclined to smoke up, to disengage. The right play for the Kamikaze, especially if there's a cruiser closing in on it, is to smoke to break the line of sight and then get the hell out of there. But a lot of players are going to want to hold on to that smoke. Smokes are very valuable, but smokes for offensive purposes should be used for more gunboat types. Farragut, potentially, Acosta, T-22, a little bit more gunboaty. Trying to sit there in a smoke cloud in a Kamikaze or a Mutsuki and gunning down the enemy, not going to be that productive of a play. And then when you throw in ships rushing you, especially Königsbergs, Omahas, Marbleheads, ships with the sonar, the Emilys of the Tier 4, all these cruisers pushing you. If they're using their sonar properly, they'll light you up, and those cruisers will absolutely decimate you. So if you're playing cruisers, which I think are going to be a very important role for this Tier 4 season, utilizing that sonar, flushing those destroyers out, it's going to be kind of up to you and the Farraguts. Those are the strongest counters to the destroyers this particular season. The Season 1 with the Tier 5, you had a lot more destroyers which were able to deal with other destroyers, if they utilized their ship properly and the consumables and, played smartly. But here, there's not a lot of really strong destroyers that specialize in countering other destroyers. So cruisers, step up to the plate, deal with those destroyers when the opportunity presents itself. Don't rush into the forefront at the beginning of the match just to trying to kill a destroyer, but keep it in mind as something you need to be doing as the match goes on. Look for opportunities to push, look for opportunities to find these destroyers and remove them from the game. That's going to do it for this one. I hope you guys did enjoy it. If you did, please hit the thumbs up. New to the channel, you should consider subscribing. A lot of World of Warships coming all the time. Questions, comments, leave them below. Love to hear from you guys. And we'll see y'all later. Alright, peace.